Good evening and welcome to the City of Pasco Council meeting. The council thanks you for being a part of our city government. At regular meetings, the city council takes formal action on items, holds public hearings, and conducts other businesses of the city. Agenda packets are available on the City of Pasco's website at www.pasco-schwa.gov/agenda. Please note that the city council meetings continue to be held remotely and may be accessed through GoToWebinar. This meeting is being also televised live on Pasco TV, channel 191 on Spectrum Cable in Pasco and Richland, and also streamed on the city's Facebook page, website, and YouTube channel. This and previous council meeting videos is available on the city's website. Through proclamation number 20-28.6, Governor Inslee extended the directive making temporary changes to the Open Public Meetings Act. These virtual meetings will continue until the OPMA restrictions are lifted. And lastly, the public may submit their comments and or questions for items not on the agenda through contacting the city manager or city clerk or using the feedback form on the city's website. And with those housekeeping issues out of the way, I want to also continue the trend and the tradition to talk about masks and maintaining our distancing here in the council chambers. There's less than 5 people here in the meeting, and want to keep encouraging folks to adhere to the safety precautions. And again, it's mainly to respect others and take care of ourselves as citizens of Pasco. We appreciate that very much. And so next, we will go to a roll call. So could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Alvarado.
He's absent today.
Councilmember Maloney.
Present.
Councilmember Milne.
Present.
Councilmember Roach.
Present.
Councilmember Serrano.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Barajas.
Present.
Mayor Martinez.
Present.
6 accounted for, Mayor.
Thank you. Maybe all rise for the flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. And I am waiting the day that I can have a real formal pledge of allegiance here by maybe a scout troop or somebody within the city who can formally do that for us when we come back someday. And we're looking forward for that. Thank you very much. Next, we will move right along to the approval of meeting minutes of the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by City Council and will be enacted by roll call vote as one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If further discussion is desired by council members or the public, the item may be removed from consent agenda to the regular agenda and considered separately. So on 4A for the consent agenda, it would be approval of the meeting minutes of the Pasco City Council remote meeting held on July 6, 2020, and remote special meeting and workshop held on July 13, 2020. Item B, bills and communications, to approve the claims in the total amount of $2,595,771.44. To approve bad debt write-off for To approve bad debt write-off for utility billing, ambulance, cemetery, general accounts, miscellaneous accounts, and municipal court accounts receivable in the total amount of $170,410.55. No bad debt is being turned over for collection. Item C, substitute House Bill 1406 and enacting PMC Chapter 3.26, sales and use tax for affordable/supportive housing. To adopt ordinance number 4495, enacting Chapter 3.26, sales and use tax for affordable and supportive housing, and further authorize publication by summary only. Item D, resolution approving the local road safety plan. To approve resolution number 3974, adopting the local road safety plan. Item E, renewal of prosecutorial services agreement. To approve the prosecutorial services agreement with Bell, Brown, and Rio, and further to authorize the city manager to sign and execute the agreement. So with that, that's the consent agenda. Is there anybody that would like to comment or have anything that they would like to discuss separately? If not, then we'd like to entertain a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Barajas.
Thank you, Mayor Martinez. I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
There's been a motion. Do I hear a second?
This is Councilmember Roach. I'll second it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Roach. So there's been a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please? Vote.
Serrano. Serrano. We'll come back to Serrano.
Okay.
Maloney. Milne. I think John's coming out here to
Okay.
check on things.
We're gonna have a short pause. Mr. Maloney, or Mr.,
I'm here. This is Serrano, sorry. Yes.
okay, so we have Mr. Serrano with a yes vote.
Thank you.
All right, next.
Maloney.
Yes.
Thank you. Milne.
Yes.
Roach.
Yes.
Barajas.
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes,
Great, that's unanimous.
passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And sorry for that IT communication. Item number 5, proclamations and acknowledgements. None. Number 6, reports from committees and or officers. Is there anybody that would like to report anything for the week?
Yes, just a quick update from Councilmember Roach. I attended the Hanford Community Governing Board last week. Went well. We got a presentation from Brian Vance of DOE talking about just their remobilization of Hanford employees, as well as Tridec and has taken over for managing Hanford Governing Board, and David Replag was the one who got to lead the meeting last week. So we also got our agenda issue and went through some of that. So that's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilwoman Roach. Anybody else?
Yes, this is Mayor Pro Tem Barajas reporting that I stepped in for Mr. Councilmember Alvarado, who could not be present this Friday for the Benton Franklin Council of Governments. So basically what's going on is the organization is going through a revision and update of the bylaws. Let me see, I took down some notes. The bylaws are under review, really to define the purpose, the powers, and the functions of the BFCOG. Also, they did state that representatives being sent in from different organizations must be present. If not the assigned, then the alternate. If that is not happening, there's some organizations that cannot be present. So then they would be up for review to send someone else in their place. Let me see what else. The staff will be having a discussion regarding the board and the TAG regarding the transportation issues for the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. And yeah, so really it was, the discussion was really about the bylaws. And those are under review by everyone. And so more to come on that.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Anybody else?
This is Councilmember Maloney.
Yes, Mr.
I
Maloney.
just want to just briefly report on the first Franklin County Emergency Management Board met for the first time since COVID started. And so as you can imagine, that's been an exciting, it should have been an exciting meeting, except we all know how busy they are and what they're doing. They've handed out so many supplies. The Franklin County Emergency Management Center has turned into the distribution hub for a massive amount of PPE, personal protective equipment for the region, as well as the communications hub, everything. It's really been our facility right there in our little town over on Oregon Avenue. That's been really the focal point. So it's pretty awesome to see how much good they've been able to do to help support the community through this, through the response to this virus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maloney, for that report. Well, if there's nobody else, as I have been the last several months, I have approximately 2 to 3 meetings a week with the health district and other elected officials on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then on Friday we have our co-op meeting that's more of a local and city and county meeting to ensure that where we are and that we continue to work together. All these meetings are so that we can speak as one voice as the Tri-Cities, and of course, except for Friday on the co-op, it's more for the city and the county. But discussing ever-changing things that are happening with the governor's orders, how, there's it's just amazing how fast they change, and with the rising of case rates, where, just kind of anticipating what to do with our applications and whether or not the governor is going to change things. So continuing to make efforts as a community to move forward and figure out ideas to how to get our number counts down. So we are hoping this is like the 3rd week now that we're going into the mandatory masks usage of all of our businesses, and we're hoping for good results. And we just want to, again, encourage our community to do what's right and hopefully manage these numbers because it's not only here, it's all over the country, and we're hoping to be able to manage it as best we can. So thank you for that. So next, we'll move right along to item 5B, General Fund Monthly Report. Mrs. Sigdell, are you on tonight?
I am. Evening, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Good evening.
There's some good news in terms of the revenue that is coming in so far. Just a reminder to council that the sales tax revenue that we generally see are lagged with 2 months. So the data that you're seeing right now in terms of the sales tax that has been coming in has been of April. And as of April data, we're seeing very stable sales tax revenue for the city. We're also seeing drop in some of the other types of revenue like motor vehicle fuel taxes and some of the tourism related fees and taxes. We're anticipating that we're not going to see any change to this status for at least the next 2 months. And we're also waiting to see if a new bill gets passed through Congress, how that will impact the city as well. And that is all of the update that I have for you, unless you have any questions.
I don't need any questions for Mrs. Sigdell from the council. If not, thank you very much for that report, Mrs. Sigdell. We're looking forward for those revenues to keep going up, and maybe because of the lag time, next time we might even see them go up a little bit since the modified reopening of a lot of the businesses. So thank you very much for that. Next on the agenda is the hearings and council actions on ordinances and resolutions relating thereto, and there's none listed. Ordinances and resolutions not related to hearings. Resolution to reject bid for Road 36 lift station upgrade project. Mr. Worley, are you on the line?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Can you hear me okay?
We can. Thank you very much.
You bet. Tonight we have an item before us to review and propose rejecting the bids for the Road 36 lift station upgrade project. To start off with a little bit of background, real briefly, the project is identified in the 2014 Comprehensive Sewer System Plan. It's located at Road 36 and Burden Boulevard, and the project includes the installation of new pumps at the lift station and installing approximately 1,350 feet of new 8-inch diameter force main to replace the 6-inch force main that currently exists. plans and specifications were prepared by HDR, a local engineering company. The project went out to bid on May 22nd. So it was after the COVID crisis shutdown hit. The bids were opened on 6/25. And during the bidding process, we got a call, or staff got a call from one of the potential bidders and asked if we could delay the bid an extra week. And the reason was that this particular bidder was having a difficult time finding electrical contractors to do the work associated with this project. We agreed to delay the bid a week, and then we noticed that there were not too many bidders on the bid sheet, the plan holders list, as we call it. And so we reached out to a couple of contractors that we have worked with in the past and asked if they would be interested in bidding it. And so when the bid open date came around, it turned out that we received 2 bids, but the first bidder who asked for the extension ended up not bidding the project. And it turns out that the electrical costs for the 2 bids that we received were exceedingly higher than what the engineer's estimate was. And so staff anticipates that we were caught in a situation where contractors were working on backup work after the COVID thing, and it was difficult to try to find electrical contractors to do this work. And so the prices came in much higher than we anticipated. So it's staff's recommendation that since this project is not critical at the moment, that the best thing to do, and our suggestion would be to go ahead and reject these bids, and we will rebid the project at a time when we think that the bidding climate will be much better. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Worley. We all know that the city doesn't just go do these projects because we have nothing else to do. So, and you've kind of explained already a little bit of the implications of not doing it right away. So it sounds like we do have some time before something major would happen to where it would cost us even more to do. So I did see that the electrical contractor was the issue with the high bid. And as long as, in your professional judgment, we can wait for a more favorable bidding process or bidding process, I'm good. Any other council members have any questions or comments for Mr. Worley? If not, Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to make a motion?
Absolutely, Mayor. Let me go back to my screen. I move to approve resolution number 3975, rejecting all bids for the Road 36 lift station upgrades project.
There's been a motion to approve resolution 3975. Do I hear a second?
This is Councilmember Roach, and I'll second that.
Okay, it's been seconded by Councilwoman Roach. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you for that. Next, unfinished business. Professional services agreement with WSP Inc. for the construction management services on Lewis Street Overpass project. Mr. Worley.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor and Council. Staff presented this contract to Council at a previous workshop, and this is a contract with WSP to help the city manage the construction of the Lewis Street Overpass project. Now, we are not at
Mr. Worley.
under contract and on board so that they can get set up and started for the process that we have to go through to bid that project. And so the only changes that were made since the last time this was presented to council have been some technical / legal issues associated with the wording in the contract. And if council has any questions about that, I'm going to have to defer that to legal counsel because they're well above my pay grade. So, but if there's any technical questions related to that, I'd be happy to answer it. So the staff would recommend approval of this contract.
Thank you, Mr. Worley. There was a moment that you cut out there, and I'm not sure if we missed anything or not, but did the council have any questions or comments? We did discuss this last week. If not, then Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to make the motion?
Absolutely, Mayor. I move to approve a professional services agreement for construction management services on the Lewis Street Overpass project with WSB Incorporated in the amount of $1,853,000, and further authorize the city manager to execute the professional services agreement.
There's been a motion. Who would like to second this motion?
Serrano, I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Pete Serrano. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
I don't think, opposed, same sign? Okay, I didn't hear everybody with an aye, but if Councilwoman Roach, I didn't hear your voice.
I said aye.
Okay.
Thank you for checking.
Thank you, yes, just checking. Okay, so it passes unanimously. If that's not the case, please speak up, but I heard a unanimous vote for this motion, so thank you very much for that. Next, in new business, we have an Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Commission appointment. And let's see, Mr. Ratkite, do you want to open that up? Or
Actually, Mayor, I could speak to it.
Go ahead, Mr. Zabel.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Just a few introductory comments. Through the adoption resolution 3820, Council had established what is now known as the Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Commission. The commission is essentially a 7-member board to advise Council on activities to promote an environment for all of Pasco that accepts, respects, and appreciates all members of the community. This has been in place for about 2 years. We currently have 3 vacancies. The city earlier this year had advertised for the 3 vacancies on the committee, did another round of advertising just recently, and with the COVID interruptions, we're unable to pursue the normal route in which council considers confirmation of candidates, and so council put together a subcommittee consisting of Mayor Martinez, who in this case has the authority or the responsibility for appointments, Deputy Mayor Barajas, and City Council Member Roach. And so they interviewed several candidates last week. The Mayor is recommending appointment of Naima Chambers-Smith, Joel Nunn Sparks, and Eloise Sparks for positions 1, 2, and 4 respectively.
Excuse me, Mr. That's 1, 3, and 4.
1, 3, and 4. Oh, sorry, 1, 3, and 4 respectively. And the mayor's appointment would require council's ratification.
Thank you, Mr. Zabel. I just want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Barajas and Councilwoman Roach for working with me and the subcommittee to oversee these 10 applicants that we went through. I want to just say that we went through the applications. We selected to interview, I believe it was 6 of them, and I was thoroughly impressed with everybody's interview. Everybody did so well. Everybody, it was really hard to choose, but we came down to the finalist and selected these 3 people, Naima Chambers-Smith, Joel Nunn Sparks, and Eloise Sparks, to these positions. And I would like to just share that I didn't know any of these people personally, but these are the people that I would use in my own little method of choosing people, and I would rate on the certain aspects that I thought were very important to be on this commission. And just added them up at the end, and these were 3 finalists that I felt geographically fit where we needed them to be, and also the skills that they brought and the experience, not only experience, but the skills and the amount of time that they lived in this city brought a lot of history and a lot of experience to what we were looking for. And I strictly chose these 3 candidates. I didn't choose them, but we together decided on them because they brought what we felt would be vital for this commission, along with the other members that are already on the commission, and the skill mix that would bring together what we think would be a productive group of people to bring great things to our city. So I just wanted to share that. I just chose the best candidates we chose the best candidates that we thought were necessary for this committee. So with that, I will open up the mic for a conversation or a comment. If anybody has a comment or any other council member would like to share, Mayor Pro Tem Barajas or Councilwoman Roach.
This is Councilmember Roach, and I just wanted to echo that same sentiment that you just made. There was a few things to consider: geographic location and having the right sort of balance on the commission. But just wanting to reiterate that all of the candidates that we interviewed were so exceptionally good, and it was such a tough decision. And so I don't want anybody to feel discouraged. We had a really, it was not easy for us to come to the decision that we did, and was glad to be a part of the process. I know one of the things that came up in our subcommittee was, the idea of possibly an ADA board or ADA committee. And so I would be really interested in, pursuing something like that, and want to put that forth to you, Mayor Martinez, and to the city council as well, because it seems like, there's areas as we grow as a city that in our infrastructure we could improve. So just food for thought, and thank you to all those who applied, and yeah, great work.
Thank you, Councilwoman Roach. Anybody else like to comment?
Yes, Mayor, this is Mayor Pro Tem Barajas. Just a quick comment. I also want to say thank you to everyone that applied. It takes a little extra effort to come out of your comfort zone and want to participate in this committee. But I do want to remind everyone that all positions, if I'm not mistaken, are ending December 31st. So do not be discouraged. Apply again if you want to. All the candidates, and it was a tough choice, all the candidates were great candidates. They all bring excellent experience to the table to further benefit the city of Pasco. Like you said, Mayor, they all had great qualities, and based on their demographic, that is how we selected the individuals that will be participating. But thank you again for everyone that participated. Thank you for allowing me to be part of the subcommittee.
Thank you, Council Mayor Pro Tem Barajas. Anybody else have any comments? If not, then we'd like to entertain a motion. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, absolutely. I move to confirm the mayor's appointments to the Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Commission to include Naima Chambers-Smith, Joelle Nunn-Sparks, and Eloise Sparks to positions numbers 1, 3, and 4, respectively, with the terms ending on December 31st, 2020 for all positions.
Thank you. There's been a motion. Go ahead.
And I'll second it.
All right, there's been a motion to confirm the mayor's appointment to the Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Commission, and it's been seconded by Councilwoman Roach. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll go to item B. There's a Pasco Facilities District's Board reappointment. Mr. Zabel, do you have any introducing?
Just a couple comments, Mayor. So the Pasco Public Facilities District's a 5-member board. The PFD is tasked with overseeing, the PFD board is tasked with overseeing the Pasco Public Facility District activities. Primarily, at this point in time, has been the payment of a certain tax, sales tax grant to Three Rivers Convention Center to support that facility. Much of the effort of the board over the past few years, though, however, has been spearheading and evaluating options for a regional scaled aquatics facility located within Pasco. That project was on target to potentially have been on the ballot this year. The COVID pandemic has somewhat delayed progress on that, inability to meet publicly and inability to really effectively run much of a campaign for something like that. That's probably going to get delayed obviously into next year at this point, 2021. That's a board decision and ultimately a council decision. So there's some, I think, thinking on continuity of that board. The current vacancy, or what would be a vacancy, would be left by Mr. Mike Morissette. Mike's been on the committee since the early 2000s, has a lot of familiarity with the operations, had a lot of familiarity with this project, and has put a lot into it. Mayor's recommendation is for reappointment of Mr. Morissette.
Thank you, Mr. Zabel. Anybody have any adding comments or questions?
This is Councilmember Maloney.
Yes, Mr. Maloney.
I just want to say that Mr. Morissette is a phenomenal public servant and deeply committed to Pasco. So I've had the pleasure of serving with him when I was on the Public Facilities District Board, and I certainly support his continued membership of this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maloney. He hasn't been very nice to me, but I know his experience is very important, and I know he's been quite the citizen and quite the. He's done a lot for the city of Pasco. But
He hasn't been nice to
I was just joking. I was hoping Mr. Morissette would hear this and come in and ask me why. But no, he's a wonderful person doing amazing things for Pasco. So with that said, if there's no more comments, Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to, I always like to put a little humor if I could. So, Mr.
No,
Morissette.
thank you for that. My jaw hit the floor. I was like, Mark, mean to somebody? What?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to make a motion?
Absolutely. I move to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Mark Morissette to the Pasco Public Facilities District Board to position number 2 with a term expiring on July 14th, 2024.
There's been a motion to confirm the Mark Morissette to the Pasco Public Facilities District Board position number 2. Do I hear a second?
Serrano, I'll second that.
Mr. Serrano seconds that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. It passes unanimously. Again, I apologize for trying to be funny, but Mr. Morissette is a wonderful person. And I know he's going to do great things for us as soon as we can get COVID out of the way. So thank you very much for that. I'll go on to the next item, miscellaneous discussion. We do have a couple of things, items. Mr. Zabel, would you like to begin, please?
If I could kick off, Mayor, and this is actually Councilmember Serrano's initiative, and that's the draft letter that I'd sent you under separate cover to Governor Inslee. And I will take a shot at it. I know Councilmember Serrano probably wants to speak a little bit more detail, but I think Council is pretty well aware of the difficulty that the virtual meetings present, not only for Council itself, and we're fortunate to have some pretty good technology backing us up, but for residents and other interested parties to be able to give meaningful input to the Council. In some cases, they may or may not have technology that supports that, or maybe barely supports it. So this letter is explaining to Governor Inslee some of the major issues that the city has coming up such as our biennial budget, our mandated Growth Management Act, comprehensive plan update, and urban growth area expansion, which is pretty significant. There's gonna be a lot of interest in that. It's not a small area that we're looking at, including in the UGA. Biennial goal setting retreat, coming up that we're gonna be talking about in a few minutes. So there's a number of pretty high profile things that, the public, it seems they'd want to be involved in, and making that easier for them, I think benefits the community overall. And then, I think it kind of, the letter also goes into some precautions we could take in this chamber were the public allowed to participate, the distancing and the requirement of a mask and so forth. So with that, those are introductory comments from a staff perspective. Councilmember Serrano submitted this about a week ago. Spent a little time last week. I looked at it. Brianna Murray from Gordon Thomas Honeywell took a look at it. A couple other staff members, and what you have is kind of a refined version for council's consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Zabel. And Mr. Serrano, I just want to say thank you for taking the lead on this. Appreciate your efforts. It's very important, this letter, the way it's finalized. Do you have any comments, Mr. Serrano?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add. I think the city manager teed it up really well. Just to me, with everything that's ongoing currently, both from just a general perspective and then our city activities, I feel like it's very important, and I know we've all discussed this. To us, it's very important that we engage both one another and the community, and the best way to do that is to be in person. I think tonight is strong evidence of where we are blessed with technology, yet cursed with it, with a couple of hiccups here. And so it would be really nice to have that ability to interact with each other, with our residents, to set the path forward for Pasco. You know, we've got plans that are going to last decades, that are going to impact development. We've got budgets that impact the immediate needs, and it'd be great to have that physical meeting place, which we do have after a great city hall renovation, mind you. I'd love to be able to use that, and I know we all would. And so that's why we decided to move forward with the letter to the governor, asking him for the ability to start meeting in person. That's all I've got for that. Certainly, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but it's pretty straightforward, I think.
Well,
Councilmember Serrano, this is Councilmember Roach. I have a question. Are you looking for our signatures on this?
I think that would be ideal if we could come to a consensus and we could all sign it. I don't really know whether or not we've got digital signature ability or how that works, you know, given the COVID time, if we all have to go down to City Hall. But if it's logistically possible, and if we adopt this letter and send it, somehow recognizing that it's a unanimous support, if that's where we end up. Yes, so yeah.
all right, well, thank you for that. And I'll just, again, use this moment to say thank you again, Mr. Serrano, for taking the lead on that. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all the council members, because I know each and every one of you are stepping up to the plate and making your districts proud. I'll tell you, as the mayor, I see each and every one of these council members put in a lot of hard work and doing their part in walking out to their communities and taking these steps forward and making sure that I'm set straight and they assist whenever help is being asked for. So again, council, thank you for being great people to work with and your passion for community service. So thank you for that. Mr. Zabel, want to continue?
I didn't have anything further. I think council needs to probably have some discussion about whether or not the council feels they're in a position to sign this letter, or if there's modifications, or.
I'm definitely in agreement with it. We actually, I feel a great need for us to get together and work on the things that we've been missing out on, and you know, setting a lot of our budgets and where our goals, and just need to kind of catch up on everything we've missed because of this pandemic. Anybody else have any other comments?
This is Councilmember Maloney. I read through that letter, and I thought it was really balanced. I thought it was approachable and very well communicated as to understanding that there's a threat out there, but that we as a city can manage it, and the harm that can come about from not getting the input is substantial. So I'm fully in support. I had no comments or changes. In terms of signing it, I would prefer not to have to physically go places just to sign the letter. If we can communicate that we have all signed it in some sort of digital format, I'm certainly willing to say during this meeting that barring, as the letter as is, I'd be fine with approving and signing at this time.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Maloney.
This is Councilmember Roach, and I just wanted to echo that same sentiment and just say that, I appreciate Councilmember Serrano taking the time to write this. Not sure where he found the time to do it. I know we're all up to our eyeballs with work and family and just all the stuff that there is. So I, made an informal ask of the governor's representative of the same thing over the phone and expressed concern getting input on our budget from the public, because that is something I don't feel that we, that it is our responsibility to get their wording, them straight from their mouths, what they want us to prioritize. And so, so I appreciate Councilmember Serrano, you writing this, and I'm happy to add my signature to it and, provide a digital initialing if we can do that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Roach. So, Mr. Zabel, I don't know if there's a way, if everybody has done the signature.
I don't believe, I will check with
April.
April, yeah, Ms. Caldwell in the morning, but if we don't have that, we can just change the beginning to on behalf of the entire city council for your signature.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. All right, thank you for that.
A couple other things that I wanted to run by the council. And first up would be Rick White is going to give us a quick slideshow, kind of an update as to where we're at with CARES and some metrics. So with that, Rick.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Can all council hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, the first slide, if we can advance that, shows the breakdown of the available grants that the city has received so far, at least to date. We have the $1 million that was passed through from the Washington State Department of Commerce. We have about $434,000 that we received from HUD, and the group health donated $125,000 to be allocated through the DPDA, in particular to use for the applicants that are ineligible for the federal monies, which have a variety of prerequisites and requirements. So the next slide shows the estimated number of beneficiaries making some assumptions. So the CRF, Coronavirus Relief Funds, $1 million or so. If we max out each request at $30,000, we believe we'll be able to fund 32 business assistance grants. So far to date, the block grant coronavirus business assistance grants are averaging just under 19,000. So at our current allocation of 434,000 minus the project delivery costs, we'll be able to accommodate 17 applicants at roughly that amount, including project delivery costs and including the costs that are not being able to be, we have to account for the costs of processing ineligible applicants also. So we're estimating that to be roughly $80,000. And then the DPDA health grant funds, we estimate, and these are funds that have actually gone out the door. So there's, I think 14 formal. I think we have one in a bit of a straggler position, but we'll be able to fund 15 of the non-eligible applicants through the Group Health Foundation, which, as I mentioned earlier, is not federal money. So the requirements are quite a bit more lenient and certainly much faster to process. So slide number 4 is a status on the federal monies in particular. So we have funded, as I mentioned, the DPDA group health funds, group health donations, roughly 14 applicants, possibly 15 by the time tomorrow comes. We have applications submitted, not yet reviewed for completeness, but otherwise seemingly complete at 18. And that's 310,000, by the way, not 310. There should be a comma there. And there's 13 that are under review. So we'll be reviewing those for completeness. We have about 175 applications in process. So somewhere between the first step and the last step, and anywhere in between, we have the bulk of the applications. And then 4 pre-applications in process, which is they at least meet eligibility requirements, but have not yet submitted additional information. And then so far we have 22 that have not been determined to be eligible, roughly 250 applicants so far. The next slide shows the DPDA health grant, group health grant, approximately $112,000 to date. The Coronavirus Relief Fund, and these are not low to moderate income, which is not a requirement of the state pass-through money, but we have 7 complete applications so far for approximately $115,000. And then for the Micro Enterprise Fund, the Community Development Block Grant Micro Enterprise Fund, low to moderate income specific, we have 21 applicants for an amount that slightly exceeds what we were given to allocate. And for council's information, micro enterprise is by HUD definitions, 5 or less employees, including the owner. So the next slide is a map that shows those applications completed, submitted, and under review. You can tell that the majority of them are in low to moderate income census tracts, which is the area east of Highway 395. And there's only, I think, 6 or 7 that are outside those low to moderate income census tracts. There's a large amount of the applications that are clustered in the downtown area, as I think council can see from the sketch, or the map, excuse me. And then the next slide shows the CARES Act programs. And again, these are the funding totals so far to date, with the number of applications that are either in process, ineligible, or have been completed under review and determined to be eligible for further processing. So at this point, we're a little bit higher than our total funds available at approximately $115 or about $116,000. Hopefully, we'll be able to get additional monies, assuming that additional monies are granted through block grant or HUD. And I just want to stress to council that it's very difficult to get a new program like this up and running. We believe that this week we'll be able to get between 2 and 5, the first 2 to 5 federal monies out the door. And from there on, it should be quite a bit of an easier process. We've had a number of issues with the new program, with the software. We continue to experience a number of applications that are not complete. I think the most prevalent part of that incompleteness is the inability to be able to produce financial statements. So with the required tax returns, staff and the DPDA staff have been able to contact the applicants and prepare, according to HUD regulations, a type of financial statement that's allowable through federal regulations, which is well and good, but it does take quite a bit of time. And then the very last slide I have is this same schedule of statistics just on a bar graph. So as council can see, the vast majority of applications are for those small businesses between 1 and 5 employees. And there's quite a bit, of course, that have been helped with the group health donation, and the small businesses, which can go up to 20 employees or less, haven't been the bulk of the applications yet, but they certainly will be as we work our way through those 175 applications that are still out there in some form of submittal. So a little bit, I know that was quick, but I'd be happy to try to answer council's questions on the business assistant program.
Thank you, Mr. White. Anybody have any questions for Mr. White or comments?
This is Councilman Maloney.
Yes, Mr. Malone.
So just briefly, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Mr. Milne had invited myself and Councilmember Alvarado out to go downtown, talk to some of the businesses, and have a little chat about what's going on. We've obviously received some conflicting information as to the success of the program, how easy the applications are to fill out, etc. And we did have a debrief with Mr. White, Mr. Zabel, and Gustavo with the DPDA. And I think that really clarified a lot of the questions and confusion we had. We were certainly hearing some cross communication, and I think a lot of what Rick is showing is exactly the relevant information. We are seeing that downtown businesses are able to apply successfully in droves. The application process is not easy. It's not convenient. It's clearly not simple. And so many of those requirements have nothing to do with the city of Pasco or the DPDA. This is not quote unquote our money to set the rules for. So we're doing the best we can. And so anyway, so I just wanted to say that that really laid a lot of my concerns. I think there's still some more follow-up and some more work that needs to be done in downtown to help them understand the role of DPDA and separately what the role of the city is. So I think there's plenty more work downtown to help the business owners really get a good picture of how we can help and how the DPDA can help. And I'd ask Mr. Milne to add any additional comments to that in just a second if he has some. But I do have one question for Mr. White. I saw that Benton County has set up a CARES Act fund for about $3.5 million just a few days ago. Is there any indications that Franklin County is going to be doing the same? I imagine some of these same businesses could submit fundamentally the same application, assuming Franklin County was willing to part with some of any money they may have received. So could you give a little status on that?
Mr. White?
I'm sorry, I'm a little rusty. Mr. Maloney, I think we heard that is exactly what Franklin County is doing, and Mr. Zabel can pitch in, but at our Friday agency collaborators meeting, we heard from Keith Johnson, County Administrator, that, and if I might not have the exact figure right, but I believe there's 2.25 or perhaps $2.5 million that Franklin County is doing with a very similar program.
Great, I appreciate that. I really hope that even more businesses can get helped. And of course, I hope the federal government's happy to turn on more money as well, but we'll see what we can do with what we've got. Thank you. That's all the comments and questions I have. And I'd ask Mr. Milne to elaborate if he has any additional comments on our conversations.
I just want to thank you, Mayor Martinez, for let me speak, and Craig thinks that was well said. I know some of the bigger concerns was just the role of the DPDA. I know we had talked about maybe as a suggestion, maybe putting it like on the pole so people would get it in their electrical bill. They'd have an idea of what the DPDA does. So that was kind of a thing that we'd really like to get out there, just what DPDA does and what the city of Pasco does, and so that people don't get confused as far as how everything works. But basically, Craig said it really well. I thought so.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Mr. Milne. Appreciate what you guys do out there and trying to make it right for everybody.
Here, just a couple more things.
Yeah, go. Okay, so if there's no other questions for Mr. White, then Mr. Zabel.
Okay, two more things, Council. One, just wanted to give you a follow-up on the small business kits, and I think we do have just a quick graphic. Not surprising, the small business kits, reopening kits were pretty popular. We had, I think, sent you some pictures last week, but we handed out around 70 last Wednesday down at the Farmers Market Pavilion. Most of the kits, you can kind of see the geographic distribution: Court Street corridor, Lewis Street corridor, downtown, a few up in the Road 68 area. So that was kind of exciting out there to be able to serve folks that way. And then we've had people trickling in. We were able to hold out about 15, 20 of them, and been trying to get those to folks too as they've called in, thinking they might have missed the boat, and we've been able to get them another kit, one of the remaining kits. And so if anybody's listening that needs a kit, please just give us a call at City Hall. And then a potential date, I think, for our planning session, our retreat, August 14th and 15th, or August 21, 22nd. I know Ms. Caldwell had sent you those dates. Some of you have confirmed, not all of you have. We want to kind of get this nailed down this week if we can. So if you run across that email, please respond back if one of those dates don't work for you. And then also just one last note, this Wednesday, the 22nd, will be the inaugural meeting for the Arts and Culture Commission. So they're excited, ready to go, and already have a pretty decent work plan.
Cool.
So.
All right, thank you, Mr. Zabel. And also on Wednesday, we should be coming out with a report for the state of the cities from each of the mayors of the 4 cities here. So looking forward for everyone to be able to get that information. There was one other thing. Is there anything else that anybody would like to bring up before I go to the next part of the meeting? Let's see, what was it? If there's not, then we'll move right along to, is there a need for an executive session tonight?
Not this evening.
Okay, there's no need for executive session tonight. With that, appreciate everybody's attendance here tonight. And so we're looking forward to seeing you again next week. So with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Good night.